Hello, I'm Daryl Scott. I'm the newly minted Chief Commissioner of Scouts Queensland. We're making this video to bring you up to date with where things are at with YPR. So you'll remember, in 2015 we ran all of those consultation sessions on promise and law, and that's probably the last, and there was a little bit of feedback from that, and that's probably the last we've seen. So the intent is to really find out where things are at. So I'd like to hear from you. So Kirsty.
Well, Daryl, based on the feedback that was received, we took it off to the National Executive Committee, and it was recommended that the members could have a choice of 2 promises and law. So they would be able to have a personal choice of which one they wanted to make, the new one, or possibly if we keep the old one, based on their own personal views. There's a new format for the Scout law, and that's been developed and we've presented that. It's got very exciting icons and very simple words for the Joey Scout, Cub Scout age group. It gets more advanced for the adults and the rovers as we get older.
And we could almost say, Chief, that it was designed around what some Cub Scout and Joey Scout leaders at the Brisbane North consultation suggested. So it's great to see that.
That's really good.
Yes.
And the National Executive Committee, or the Chief Commissioner of Australia and the Chairman currently are consulting with the Chief Scout of Australia. We have to have him on board to make sure that he's happy with the changes that are suggested to the promise. Fortunately, we've already advised the Chief Scout in Queensland, so we're a little bit ahead at the moment. I recognise most of this has taken some time. Everything has to be confirmed at the National Executive. It is a slow process, but at least they've responded to the feedback. The proposed changes will go to the National Council meeting next June 2017, so hopefully after that we'll be able to say that we have a new promise and a new law and some other things in place.
Wow, that's exciting. So, Peter, I understand that we were the only ones that went through that
We were the only ones, and that was so obvious, because Nathan, would you like to share about the feedback?
Oh, absolutely. Please.
Great.
So I guess, Daryl, off the back of those sessions that we ran and everyone participated in, what we did is we compiled a report that put together all the formal responses we received, and then we then handed that to the Chief, who then passed that on at the appropriate places. So we can confidently say that the feedback everyone gave in Queensland has significantly contributed to the national discussion, and I think that's really a good thing that we can say.
That is good.
So to give you some stats, we know we have some numbers people in the room.
The engineer.
Yeah, probably. So we received just under 500 written formal responses.
So how many did you get?
So just under 500. I think the number's 498.
Thank you.
Point 2, don't ask me why. And
2 engineers.
That came from 27 formal consultations that we ran right across the state. Every region was represented, as well as our branch teams.
Excellent.
We also ran as many informal sessions as we could, and we ran these at places like the major events that happened over that period, and also at some DTMs and whatnot. So that also contributed. You might like to know that 28% of the respondents were leader of adults, 27% were leader of youths, 7% were parents and supporters, and then a whopping 38% were youth members. And it's good to see the Rovers had a good input there as well. So I think that's a good spread of our membership that's contributed. And I guess finally, to give you an idea, the largest session we ran was 44 members, and the smallest one was an intimate 2 members. So we really tried to cover all of our bases.
And I was impressed with the passion that I saw in some of those sessions. It was incredible.
It was a shame that we didn't get more people to a couple of them, but I think we've covered most of the people that were prepared to give input at the time.
And there's a good invitation out from the start of next year, because we're engaging in our second round of consultations.
Right.
And we're at the stage now where we've got a one concept for one youth program running over 5 sections, and that we want to share what's proposed in that. There's some really exciting things that have been done regarding the Scout method, regarding the age ranges, and I think everyone will be happy with the proposed age ranges. It's win-win. The educational objectives, which Nathan actually led, and also the personal progression. There's some great links there, and it's a tailored program. So that we're going to be consulting with our youth members, with our leaders, or maybe we've got to be calling them scouters now, because the notion is that all of our young people are themselves leaders with their parents and with other members of the community. We'll be doing that between late January and April, and we'll be letting people know of that through the website and through their regional commissioners.
Excellent. So Peter, you just given us a bit of a tease there in terms of what's coming. Can we find out a little bit more about that?
I'd love to. What do you reckon is the best thing, Kirsty?
Well, I think possibly the Scout method, as we know, that underpins everything that we do in Scouting. We've had some very sound Australian research, and so the Scout method's been updated, and I think it's quite exciting. In particular, it's going to reinforce that it's youth-led, adult-supported, reminding us that our role is to support the youth members. I know it's not a new concept, but it's something that possibly we've slipped away from, and we've got to reinforce that it's youth-led, adult-supported.
And Daryl, we had our World Scout meeting a fortnight ago in Ethiopia, and that the World the World Scout Committee are looking at the at reviewing the Scout method, and all members were delighted when the committee at the world level that's investigating it used the proposed Scouts Australian as a model. So I've got a stamp unofficially from that group, so I was very proud.
Yeah.
And I have to say my highlight would be, in my own humble opinion of course, our refreshed program objectives.
And it always is, isn't it?
Which I believe read like poetry and may one day be held up against Shakespeare.
Oh dear.
So,
well, I can't wait to see this.
I think what's good though, Nathan, seriously, is we know that the needs of young people have changed, and we know that we can match all of the activities against a developmental framework. And whilst we're talking about Queensland initiatives, I want to acknowledge the work that Jack Neeland, a rover from the north side, did in developing leading the team that looked at a different way of looking at the award scheme badges, and that there'll be a personal progression B that actually means that a Joey Scout can look at earning a badge and continuing right through all the sections in gaining expertise and competencies in that badge. So that's another exciting thing that's new, that it's not, badge work doesn't need to be section specific, it's whole of the scouting journey.
So does it get bigger and bigger as you go through?
No, I think it'll need to get smaller and smaller because of the choices.
Okay.
And certainly for me, what I like seeing coming out of the work that's being done is the idea of building more community into our program. So we're seeing more emphasis on our local, our national, and of course our global community. And we know that's really important, particularly for our rovers and our venturers who are starting to look globally in how they communicate, and also more of an emphasis on environmental focus, and also programs like the Messengers of Peace program, and we have some very passionate people in the state around that program. So we'll see more of that in what's being proposed.
Excellent.
I don't know, Daryl, whether you remember that some of these changes have already been implemented, and in your previous role you may not have picked up on that, but there's things like the walkabout badge. So probably you had some young people in Brisbane North that participated with the walkabout badge. This came about as part of the normal reviewing of activities that are undertaken in Scouts. We've also, of course, implemented the plan, do and review cycle, where our young people are encouraged to put that process in place. And I think one of the key things for me is the Bullying Break the Cycle program that's been introduced, as we've seen quite a bit of bullying over the last few years. That this is important that our young people understand this a lot better.
And of course you'd be aware that every unit in every group is expected by the end of March to have developed their own code of appropriate behaviour.
Right, yes.
So it's great.
And of course, earlier Nathan mentioned the Messengers of Peace.
Which we're all wearing.
Of course.
Oh.
And of course, this is a global program, but very exciting for our young people.
So Daryl, we plan to share the one journey, the one program, 5 sections in regional consultations. They will start in January and progress through to April. They will be coordinated through the region, but we'll also have, in addition to face-to-face meetings, we'll have some webinars and we'll have some telephone links. So we're keen to consult with as many young people, as many leaders or scouters, and as many parents and community members as possible, because what's being presented is being worked on by a large group of people, and it's going to be very exciting.
Wow. So, thanks for the update. I appreciate that, and I'm sure our audience will appreciate that as well. So we'll keep everybody informed going forward. So we're using Compass, we'll use our website, we'll use Facebook as well. So Region Commissioners will be in touch with you to talk about the specific consultations which will happen between January and April,
correct,
2017. So I look forward to that. So thanks and good night.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.